So what is going on, everybody? Today we're going to be showing you guys a few items you might want to pick up from this week's vendor reset. Yes, we had a couple good items. We had a couple God roll single items that you can use for your recalibration library, but we'll get into all that in this video. So the first place we're going to go to is the level 30 clan vendor. Now this is the same in Warlords or in DC, so you just got to go to the clan vendor. And the first item is going to be the Baker's Dozen, right? So the Baker's Dozen comes with rifle damage, critical hit damage, and then this one has reload speed. I would put damage to targets out of cover, and then it always comes with perfect lucky shot. Magazine capacity is increased by 30%. Missed shots from cover have 100% chance to return to the magazine. I love running this on all of my rifle builds. So yeah, this is probably one of the ones I would pick up if I didn't already have one. Now, they do have a hardwire holster, which is always God roll because you want that skill tier. And then you can roll skill damage on there or status effects, really up to you. But yeah, typically I would put skill damage. They also have a rigger mask, which is another always God roll piece because you want that skill tier, and then you would roll skill damage or status effects on this one too. And then they have a Hunter's Fury piece with decently rolled weapon damage, which isn't bad. So if you're looking at putting a Hunter's Fury piece and you need that holster, you can use this one. And then for the attribute, you can put crit chance or crit damage. Typically, you would probably put something more like crit damage since you typically run this more with the SMG. Now we keep going down. The only other item I saw that was actually pretty decently rolled are these Sokolov gloves, but they do have this Badger Tusk backpack right here that have weapon handling maxed out. So if you want to add that to your library, well, there you go. That's a backpack roll. You keep going down, and then it's going to be the Sokolov gloves, which have 13% weapon damage, 9.1% critical hit damage, and 10% headshot damage. Now, you could do a lot of different rolls with this, depending on if you want to keep this for your build. But yeah, that headshot damage you can put in your library. You can actually leave that, max out the critical hit damage, and then just optimize the weapon damage. You can switch out that that headshot damage for critical hit chance, but typically you probably could leave that headshot damage, max out the critical hit damage, and then you have weapon damage, critical hit damage, and headshot damage. Pretty solid roll one, depending if you want to build around these gloves or not. Keep going down. There wasn't really anything else here that I would pick up, but we are going to find the first vendor at the Haven, right? So in New York City, this is where we are. We were just at the clan vendor. So you're gonna go right here at the Haven, and this vendor actually has a few items that you might want to grab. Now it has this Vector SBR. Now this is probably one of my favorite vectors. I actually use the name version, the Dark Winter, and then this one. When I use this one, I actually leave it just like this: SMG damage, critical hit chance, damage target out of cover. It's not amazingly rolled, but if you guys have been looking for one, it could be a nice starter one, and then you could re-roll that talent for close and personal. And that's how typically I would run it. So if you guys have been looking for one of these, this is where you guys can buy it this week. 8,400 credits. They do have a classic RPK with Unhinged on there. You can swap out that rate of fire, and you can actually put damage to armor. They do have an ACS 12 if you've been looking at getting one of these, and you can swap out that Vindictive for close and personal. They have a D50, and they do have a maxed out backpack for Murakami with 12% skill haste. So if you guys have really been trying to max out your library, well, another piece you can pick up and throw that roll right into your library. They do have a Badger Tusk holster that has armor already on there, and it has crit chance. So if you wanted to put crit damage for that status effects, then you could have that 10% shotgun damage, and that could be your one-piece Badger Tusk that you put on your Badger Tusk build. If you're trying to build one of those damage shotgun builds, yeah, this could be a nice piece. But yeah, I don't really see anything else here that I would pick up. So yeah, that's it from this vendor. Now the next vendor is going to be right inside here. So there are 3 vendors at the Haven. You have your clan vendor, you have that vendor, and then you have one more vendor over here. And we'll see what he has. He does have a custom P416 with some pretty solid rolls with assault rifle, health damage, headshot damage. With measured, you can re-roll that headshot damage for damage targets out of cover, or you could just leave the headshot damage. They do have a Cheska backpack with vigilance already on it. So if you don't mind having that weapon handling, or if you want to switch out the weapon handling for critical hit damage, then you can have weapon damage, critical hit damage, or you can swap out the hazard protection. Really up to you. They do have Providence gloves that have weapon damage, crit chance, weapon handling. Same thing here. You can swap out that weapon handling for critical hit damage or headshot damage. They do have Golden Gear holster with armor armor regen, critical hit damage. So you could typically just max out the armor there if you want, leave or max the armor regen. That's really up to you. So not a bad piece. I've seen people run this a lot. I've run it actually in a couple of my builds, because if you do run a 2-piece, you get that extra 1% armor regen. The 3-piece gives you that 5% total armor. And that's about it from here. The next item is going to be right at the beginning of DC at the White House. So we're going to go there, and there's just one vendor that we're going to stop there since we already saw the clan vendor. So once you make it to DC, you're just going to go straight over here, and right here is where you're going to see the vendor. So this one does have a sacrifice with perfect glass cannon. If you want that weapon damage, you could probably leave that skill haste or armor regen and put headshot damage on there. Not a great road one. I probably wouldn't grab this one. Keep going down, and I believe there was just one piece I would pick up if you guys are looking at building your first Sokolov build with a Sokolov chest piece. This one isn't bad because it has weapon damage, critical hit damage, hazard protection, and then you could re-roll the talent on there for either intimidate, unbreakable, whatever you want. But the reason why typically you don't have to really worry about having critical hit chance on the chest is because you probably max out with critical hit chance. So having that hazard protection isn't going to be that bad. So you can either max out the weapon damage, roll armor if you want, max out the crit damage if you want, and then you could put a crit damage mod there, and then you could just put a nice intimidate chest piece. And that could be a really nice starter piece for any of you guys looking at building an SMG build. This one isn't a bad one. So 6,000 credits right here at the base. You don't even have to farm for it. At least get you guys going. So the next item is going to be right here at DZ East, and the final 2 items are going to require DZ resources. It's actually going to be this Black Friday, which comes with perfectly unhinged, has LMG damage to targets out of cover, plus the headshot damage. So yeah, if you guys are looking at grabbing this, pretty solid rolls. You can just max out the LMG damage, and that's probably how I would leave it. Now, if you do want to get some more damage to armor, well, you could roll off that headshot damage for that. And that's going to be pretty much it from this vendor. There are a couple other items here, but nothing I would personally recommend you spending your DZ resources on it. Now, there is one more item that's going to require you to get those DZ items, and it's going to be right here at DZ South. So DZ South is going to have your final item from this vendor reset, and it's going to be the rail splitter. If you guys are looking at grabbing this, it's the named CTAR. It comes with assault rifle damage, health damage. You would put damage to targets out of cover instead of headshot damage, and it has perfectly accurate for that 50%. Or if you like those headshot damage rolls on there, you can just max out the assault rifle damage. Not a bad weapon to use. So if you guys have been looking at trying new weapons, this will cost you 152 DZ resources, so just keep that in mind. And there really wasn't anything else that I saw I personally would spend any DZ resources on. I always think these DZ only items, exclusive items like the rail splitter and the Black Friday that only drop in the DZ, if you can buy them from the vendor and then get good rolls and just max those rolls out, hey, that's an easy way for you to get these, and then especially with the optimization station. But yeah, that's it. That is the final item, and if you guys have any questions, please let me know in the comments. I will see you guys in the next Division 2 video, but until then, hey, nothing but skills out.